Hey guys, Dwayne here again back at 8-Bit Vinyl, and today I wanted to talk about my Street Fighter cab, my Gen 1 cab that I picked up a few years ago. And today, I know this may seem kind of an old hat cab and rehashed a dozen times, but I wanted to kind of go over this because I felt like it was the right time to kind of go over it with the new Big Blue Street Fighter Capcom cab coming out, or if you were disappointed on the Street Fighter Legacy cabinet, this might be some options if you still have a Gen 1 Street Fighter cab, or you didn't know whether to pull the cord and sell the cabinet or maybe modify it, or different choices, solutions of what you wanted to do with your cab. So this was just my take and my idea on what I really envisioned the cab to look like. I really do still love this cab. I won't part with it. It's my Frankenstein of all my modifications. It's the first cab I've ever bought out of the store in Walmart about 2 or 3 years ago, and it's the first one I ever got my hands in. I was new to learning, and I've learned a lot on this cabinet and learned a lot about plug and plays and different modifications on how to do this. So this was my take on the cab. From the ground up, I basically built a 16-inch riser out of 3/4-inch MDF. I mimicked the original riser. It is heavier. It's definitely more heavy and durable for gameplay, but it is a little heavier to move around the house because the riser it's just so much more wood. It's almost twice as thick. So, but anyways, this is my take on it. I had Tyler at Arcade Graphics produce these graphics for me. I still really liked the original logos of this cabinet. I was never a hater of it. I just didn't really care for the black. So I thought it'd be kind of a cool thing, a change up in what, I was surprised that more people didn't do this. Maybe they didn't know about it, or maybe they didn't know Tyler could do some things like this, or I'm sure some of the other arcade companies out there could do this, but this is the original street background of the Street Fighter, and then I just had them match the riser, make my own decals, as well as the riser. Moving up, though, is talking about the riser, I can't take credit for that. I actually, I did make it, but I got the idea from a guy named Jet Set on YouTube, a great guy that doesn't have a ton of videos out there, but he had a great Rampage and Tempest video on how to make these custom risers with some LOL LED lights, which I really, really enjoyed because you could change it. You could make this flash, you could make this pop. I'll go over that in a little bit. But it gave it kind of a different look, and it made this stand out a little more than some of the other cabinets that came out. Just so you know, what's running in this is a Pandora Box 9D currently, but it also is a quick switch over to a Pandora Box 6. And I'll talk about that in a little more detail. All right, guys, so here's a better look at the control panel here. And of course, I had to be different, right? Which actually made this a little trickier. I wound up using these Sanwa type style buttons that light up with the red, white, and blue, but I also wanted the competition Happ sticks, which usually one of these things is not like the other. Usually if you go with Happ, you have to have Happ buttons, or if you go with Sanwa type stuff, you need Sanwa joysticks. So I also wanted my select button and my select button and start button for Pandora Box, and obviously these are your player 2, and this also has a pause option, which I highly enjoy. I'll kind of turn this over, I'll crack open the control panel, I'll kind of show you how I wired the two because it wasn't the easiest to do, and it gets a little bit spaghetti in there. I'll try to explain that the best I can. Just on a side note, I wanted to talk about this deck protector in case you see a lot of screw holes and things. They didn't make deck protectors for these back then. It was very hard to get them. If anybody remembers, there's a little bit of wear and tear because these came out before they were protectors. Now I would just suggest getting a deck protector. So I actually wound up drilling and countersinking all these screws So it was nice and smooth, and creating this custom-made deck protector in order to do this cabinet. I don't think it's something anybody needs to do, and I just don't have the energy or strength to actually recreate the new one to do this. So this is what I wound up doing. I literally wound up mimicking it, mimicking the deck protector to the original. Okay guys, so this is the control panel flipped over on my cabinet. So I'm sorry for the spaghetti. I will try my best to try to explain what I did. First off, I didn't even use this original thing at all. There's nothing plugged into it. I just honestly kept it there in case you ever wanted to switch back to the original. It's still there, and you're ready to plug in. So if you know anything about a Pandora box, it comes with a not a JAMA harness. It comes with a harness like this and a whole bunch of spaghetti wires coming out of it. And what I wanted to describe here, and I know this wasn't really the purpose of this cabinet, but I think it's important to note because there's so few tutorials on how to do this. You'll get this wiring harness, and these are literally color coordinated, and they come with a little instructional booklet with any Pandora box you buy that tells you what color goes to which button and which up, down, left, right. So obviously, like the ones that come out of each side are like this, and they have an end on this. I'm sorry, this is all wire tied and stuff, but this comes off the harness, and this is your controller, which is great if you want Sanwa controllers like this. Here's a Sanwa. This adapter here comes out of the controller. They usually come with each Sanwa controller comes with a wiring harness like this, and it either plugs in, or option B, this 5-wire will immediately plug into the Sanwa controller like so, and that's your controller. However, I had to be different, and I wanted competition Happ sticks, but I like the light up buttons, and no one of these things is not like the other, and it will not mount up. So the reason I'm explaining all this is take all this stuff away from your Sanwa, and this is your harness. But now, how are you going to get this 5-prong plug to this 5-prong plug to all of these clicky inserts here on your Happ, right? So I had to actually find another small adapter that is the female version of this, and I will leave links into the description of this because it was a living hell for me to find it. I owe a bunch of YouTubers to actually help me locate that down. They're only a few dollars, and literally your harness, you will plug in your harness just like that to it, red to red, orange to orange, and it's a perfect match, and it looks fantastic. And so that's how I connected a Pandora's box to Happ sticks and glow buttons. ETA Prime has a ton of different tutorials on different buttons and options for this. So a little more on the description of this. This is literally the same Pandora box that when you buy the kit, this is exactly how the harness comes out of the box. And you can see the 5-prong clips right on here. Here's player 1 and player 2, which is this basically unraveled. Now, as far as the glow buttons, obviously you're going to have the contact point A and B, your ground and your positive onto each button. But then to make them glow, that's where these two USB encoder boards need to be located, because this is a USB plug that goes all the way down and wraps into an AC adapter just to get the glow out of it. And this one plug here in these red ports, which are important on the USBs to get your buttons to light up. And then these come with these daisy chain wires that look exactly like this in the package. So whenever you buy your button kits, this is what these look like. And then you can literally daisy chain all your lights to this one piece. And that comes usually with your buttons and your wiring harness. And these, of course, are the individual glow buttons in the package, just so you can see what these are. Some people don't like them. They feel a little cheap. I love the look of some of them on some cabinets in some cases. I don't like them for all my cabinets. This, like I said, I really like the look of the light up buttons in this and the Happ competition sticks for the Street Fighter games especially. However, there's other games that I have, like my Nintendo cab and such, that I have just Happ buttons, and I love the clickiness of those. So, whatever floats your boat, but this is how I did this. I hope this explains some of this in detail. And just since I have this control panel on, for the sake of saying, this speaker is a Fosgate 4-inch, but it's not hooked up. I actually will talk about the stereo system in detail when I get around to the back of the cabinet. But this is there in case you just wanted to upgrade your speaker with the amplifier system, the cheap $10 amplifier system that everybody kind of did a year or two ago on most of their cabinets. As I come to this side of the cabinet and I approach it, pretty typical of some of my other mods that I explained. I wound up putting a switch up here and a switch up here. The reason this is double, this does nothing. I just put a double instead of a single because at one time I wanted the actual J plate to be lit up as well, and then I just never decided to do this. This I'll go over in depth a little bit more, but this is my antenna for my LED lights that change color and flash on the lit marquee and operate by remote control. This over here is literally my volume control. It's a little toggle switch. It separates my volume. So if I want to turn the volume up on the control panel, that's where that's located. Opening up the cabinet, it's probably going to get a little overwhelming. But the first thing I did was I put a power bar down here, like most people do, to power everything. Looking at this comes from my monitor and plugs directly into my PCB board. This is my phono jack for my outlets for my speaker. This coils around and goes way up into there into the top of that toggle switch. One end goes in, one end goes out, and this wire comes all the way down here and plugs into the front of my Klipsch stereo system right here. Back to the PCB board. This is the power to power it. This is my HDMI that plugs back here into my Pandora's Box 9. My power cable from my control panel. I know that's going to be hard to see. Doesn't really want to focus that much here. Sorry. Maybe that's better. This is actually what's powering the actual USB with the original power switch on the control panel. And this is the actual power cord. This is my HDMI to actually power the Pandora's Box, is what this is powered by, which goes into my, chases all the way into my control panel. This is the wiring harness right here, which I explained, that has the Pandora Box end on it right there and plugs in really easily and simply right into that Pandora's Box. This next to it is a Pandora Box 6. This actually had a separate USB, little longer extension. So in case I ever wanted to plug it right into here, you can see here's the end of it. If I wanted to plug it right into this USB right here, I could use the Pandora Box 6, literally take my power supply, just bring it over here and plug it into here, take my wiring harness and plug it right into that blue port right there, plug this into here, and then take my power supply right here, which is extended, and plug it right into this port here, and then your Pandora Box 6 will work. The reason I had both is originally I bought the Pandora Box 6 before there was a 9, a DX, and any other version that's now part of this system that you could buy for a plug and play. The Pandora Box 6, in my opinion, is the best one to get. The later versions might have a few other games, but it's a lot of useless games. It's a lot of aftermarket and foreign market games. There's a lot of doubles, triples, quadruplets of the same game in Japanese format or by a different name. I don't think it's necessary. The Pandora Box DX I bought. It's not part of this system, but I also bought that because that had Killer Instinct on it. But however, it's the Nintendo 64 version. It's not the one that we're all looking forward to, Arcade 1-Up coming out with. So the DX, the reason I use the 9 versus the 6 is the 9 has a couple other games that I do play, like Super Sprint. I want to say Off-Road. There's a couple more in this one that I play than the 6. However, you'll find when you, depending on which Pandora box you wind up buying, it does vary from the user interface and an easier way to play. I'll kind of go over that when we talk about some gameplay and things like that. But anyways, these are my clip speakers. Instead of literally trying to turn the volume on the front of the speaker and sticking your hand behind there, that's why I have this toggle switch up here on the front. And that's why I'm able to control the volume way up here instead of reaching in the cabinet, reaching behind the cabinet every time I want to turn it up or down. Just was more convenient this way. The power bar I wanted to talk about a little bit. So my power bar, here's the white cable that comes from the power bar, and I have it fed up to the outlet way up there. I actually have a regular size outlet. This plugs into the thing, and then I took an extension cord, basically cut the end of it, cut the female end of the extension cord off, like a 25-footer. Daisy chained it from that, came all the way down like this, came around to the back of the cabinet, and through the actual whole existing power cord hole that's right there. And then, of course, that powers into the wall. So that way that switch will literally power every single thing, Marquee and all. So I'll close this door. I have this door on hinges with some magnets and a catch. You can see where, again, don't judge the Frankenstein cab, but that's originally where those $10 amps you got with the power on and off switch, and this was my original volume control right here, my treble, my bass, and my balance all kind of stuck through there, and that's how I used to adjust it until I came up with the clip system, and that seems to work a lot better. The hinge doors basically have a standard issue cabinet catch. And then on the bottom, just so the door doesn't warp, I just put like a little magnet like that, and I trim the edge off of this instead of going down inside the groove of the cabinet. I just literally just trace this, take the whole door off, trim it, and then I put some hinges on it and kind of sandwiched the hinges like this. So here back at the front of the cabinet, I wanted to talk about the lit up Marquee and the different options. It comes with a little remote control that you can buy these LED strip lights and basically cut the size. So this one inside has this literally all the way around it through just a piece of plexiglass. And then this is the, this is just honestly a regular arcade graphic. This isn't the one that has the reflective light in it. So you can see that this is definitely acceptable to me. But this has a ton of different options. It'll jump 3, jump 7, it'll fade in and out, it'll flicker, it'll do all kinds of things. And the remote, like I said, is up top here. You can see my hand up here. But if I basically jump 7, it'll turn red, yellow, green, blue, purple. I can make it fade in and out. I actually like the fade 7 because it will slowly transition in color. I know the video shows that the light is flickering. That's actually not true. It's completely solid. I don't know why the video is showing the flickering of the lights inside, but when you get this for real, it does not flicker like it's showing. It literally just is solid colors and it fades nice and smooth. It's just my camera doing that. It's not the game. But sometimes these old things, white is not usually the color. It actually was more of a yellowish because it was so old. But this has a ton of different colors if you just want to hit the color to turn it to white. There's white. But anyways, that's the Marquee there. I really, really enjoy this thing. It's made really, really sturdy. These are actually metal on top here. These are not plastic. And they're just some aluminum that are painted. So I really, really like that. I would refer again to Jet Set as far as making this Marquee if this is your bag. But now that they have so many options that have come out, I don't think it's really worth it. But I do wish that the new Marquees kind of flickered and had different colors like that. It just leaves for a really nice option for your game and a little more versatility in your game room for each cab that looks kind of the same next to each other. Next thing we'll go into some gameplay of the Pandora Box. I won't go into too much of it because there's so many things out there on ETA Prime for Pandora Box that you can kind of select from. But we'll get right into that. So on your Pandora Box, if you've never experienced Pandora Box on these particular games, the Pandora Box 9 and the 6 have a favorites game list. It'll give you 100 games on your favorites, so you don't have to select through each one. And using your Pandora Box, you can kind of feel around for the games, but it's got all the ones that we're looking for. Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom, all the X-Men's versus Street Fighters, all the Street Fighters, the Mortal Kombats, the Alpha series, WWF Superstars. There's my Mortal Kombat right there, my Punch-Outs, my Nintendos. So any one of these ones with the stars, it just happens to be my favorites list. It gives you 10 games per page, and just by pressing left or right, it literally will go to the next page. So you don't have to pan, you can do 10 at a time. I know Paperboy is one of these, those catchy ones that people were very unfamiliar with on the controls of the Mortal Kombat Legacy cabinet. I was disappointed because it's one of my favorite games as well. I definitely have the clip speakers cranked right up on this thing because I really wanted the bass. So at first, the control kind of wants to hold it there on your Pandora Box, and I don't care what version you got. I have 5 different versions of the Pandora Box. This game plays the same on all of them. Obviously, like, you know, I always crash once, but then the gameplay on this is actually really user-friendly. Just so you know, in case you were looking for a good Paperboy, I'm just sucking out right now. That actually doesn't have anything to do with the controls. This is one of my favorite games to play on this. It's just more of a subtle than the actual handlebars of the original game. But you can see I'm just kind of flickering the control. It's not like bad at all. Not too bad. And I like this because it does have the pause button, which is huge. But we can try some other games. Burger Time, Congo Bongo, Timber Tapper. Just trying to find, it's been a while since I went through this menu. There it is. Well, Rolling Thunder is one of the newer games coming out on the Pac-Man 81, which I love. I never thought I would say this. Put some coins in it. It's been a while since I played this, but I do love the Happ. Very responsive on this game. sound system's next level on this. I love the sound system. I highly recommend doing that for, you know, 70, 80 bucks at Walmart for this clip system. It's just, you can't beat it. Might as well pass one rack just so you kind of get a feel. Whatever. Let's go back out into a different game. But I also like this because you could play TMNT, you could play Simpsons. Just in case you wanted a 2-player TMNT and you couldn't find the cabinet or you couldn't buy it, like that's another huge option for this particular. So basically I go kind of crazy on that, but I didn't want to play that particular TMNT. We'll play some Simpsons, why not? We'll play some Simpsons and one of the newer I'm usually always Marge because everybody's getting excited for the Simpsons cabinet, even though it's like 600 bucks. This might be a different option in case you don't want to pony up the dough or pay that much, which I love the Simpsons cabinet, but it's a little too out of my price range. But I think this plays great. It gives you definitely a good feel is if you're looking at that Simpsons cabinet, what it's going to look like when you play it on these modded systems. It's not going to look pretty much any different than these. Some people may argue the fact that the ROM is a little more detailed, this, that, and the other. I'm just not that nitpicky. This feels pretty accurate to me. I've played this game literally within the last couple weeks at the real arcade, the real Simpson cab, and I honestly didn't notice a difference. Anyway, you get the idea. Last but not least, this one's for you, K-Fox. A little bit of Alien versus Predator. Had to pay some tribute to one of the streamers that I follow. I honestly can't play this game for crap. I can see why he's modding this though. Oops. Anyway, that's about it for me on this particular video, guys. I hope you enjoyed my mods ideas on this particular cabinet, and maybe it gives you guys some creative ideas on what you would do with some of your older cabinets. Instead of trading them up or selling them, it might have some other kind of life to them. So anyways, I apologize if this video was shaky and there was a lot of spider webs inside and spaghetti wiring throughout the cabinet. Like I said, it was my Frankenstein cab. It's one of those cabs I've kind of played with time and time again, and so it's not the cleanest look I've ever done, but gives you some idea of where I learned how to do some of this stuff, and I'm still learning, guys. It's a learning experience. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it helps anybody out there who's trying to do some mods to their cabinet. Thanks for tuning in again. Dwayne here at 8-Bit Vinyl. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.